let's welcome Tony Christensen.
People are like, what is going, who is this? Where's the officer at? Beyonce, we love it, we love it. Social Media Week, Lima, how we doing? We'll wrap it up. Oh, people are tired, partied too much at the party last night. Social Media Week, Lima, how we doing? Oh, that's so, come on. Can we all stand up? If you want, but you should. I'm just gonna run. Let's do like a wave. I don't know. We're just going with the flows. We're gonna try to do a wave over here. Starting with Brian. Social Media Week, Lima, how we doing? My voice. I knew my voice would crack. I was screaming too much at the. That was cool. I don't know. Did we get it, Brian? We get it on camera? I don't know. All right. That was very extra. That's me. Today we're talking about cracking the code. And cracking my hips running so fast. Jeez. Yeah, as Chad said, I do a lot of ads. We'll get into that fun jazz. But I noticed a lot of speakers are kind of talking about video, live streaming. So I kind of wanted to bring it back and talk more about images because I think images can be really powerful. A lot of people actually don't know I have a son. I had him about a year ago. His name's Charles Barkley. Again, I'm very, very extra. You can see we got the woof birthday sign and everything. See how happy he is? This guy is he's like me. When he's out of breath, he looks like he's smiling, but he's just trying to breathe. But this was his 1-year-old birthday. Last year I was out here, got some new shoes. They didn't last 3 months with Charles. And I had to sit him down and just say, you party animal, you went a little too crazy last night, and he was not very thrilled about that conversation. So you can see here just how powerful images can be. You really want to get reactions, actions on camera, like Brian's going to do for me today. Thank you, Brian. But you can see here, Charles, one dynamic, super happy, super energetic, and then he's so sad. So you see kind of a benefit of having a pup on the left, and then just the look that he can give you sometimes when he did something against you, and you have to sit him down. But I then got a call from a friend. This is a different time, and she said, "My car tire's flat, and it's pretty bad. Can you come help me?" And I was like, "What do you mean it's pretty bad?" I was like, "Did you even have a tire in the first place here? Like, what is? If you see, there's really no rubber on that thing." And it was just buried in the dirt. Again, you can see the powerful connection that images can have with people. You can feel, my emotions there. I was just, what? How did you not feel? She said she was going through a construction site. She's like, I thought it was just stuff happening on the road. It was like, no, you just didn't have a tire at all. So pretty funny. Another story, I was at my mom's. She's got a nice little pool. We were celebrating my nephew's birthday. And it's hot in Arizona. It's like 105 there today. That's why I look sunburned probably. I went back. I'm putting on sunscreen, and I turn around, and this is my nephew. And I don't know if you can tell, but in his lip and in his nose, there's sunscreen. He tried, but he didn't get sunburned, though, so that was good. So this just shows you just how powerful images can be. Videos are powerful as well, of course, but let's just dive in more and more about images and how we can make them really pop and emerge in our feeds, with organic, on our websites, and everywhere. So you might be wondering, who is this guy? Chad always gives a great intro and confuses everyone. Like, he could be arrested today. Who knows? Yes, I get a little crazy. I'm an advertising guy. I like to grab attention and do wild things here and there. I've made a lot of money for different clients. We're at over 300 million plus in sales for different clients, using a lot of the strategies that we're going to share here with images. Thank you. One person. I think it was Olivia. I don't know. Agorapol said I was one of the smartest ad experts in the industry. I'm going to use that quote probably for the rest of my life. And then I've worked for some pretty big brands, Moto 360, selling some of their smartwatches back in the day. Black Rifle Coffee Company, if you've heard of them. They were doing all sorts of stuff, like getting a Prius and putting a 50 cal on it and just shooting things up, and that was really fun for ads. Another company, Patch, they are a plant delivery business, and Shitty Coolers, it's a real name. It's kind of a parody on Yeti, and it's a really fun one because Facebook hates that every logo looks like the word shit, so a lot of ads get disapproved for that. So that's a fun one to deal with, but they're fun to work with. So why should we talk about images? Why should we even care? I know a lot of people are talking about videos. Really with ads and with organic and everything, like images and variety of creative can really help you out. You can reach different people. People are going to react differently to different things. So why I love images, for some of our clients, obviously they're cheaper. We work with some businesses that are just like mom and pop shops, and they raise their own money, they're bootstrapped. They might not have a lot of money to spend on big productions, on hiring actors or whatever they might need. It's faster. You can take a picture pretty easily. Everyone can take a picture, and they don't have to worry about how they look on camera. It's like take a picture of your food and share it to whoever, your mom or whoever might like your pasta dish. I don't know. I don't know if people are still doing that. Maybe it's just me. And they're easier and faster to kind of turn around, iterate on. You can take a picture, you can add some text to it, you can try different levels of text, you can move the images around in different ways that we'll show you here in a bit. So how do we start? How do we get these ideas working with our clients? How do we dive in? What's the front load work that gives us the ideas? Kind of act like Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover here. I go through a fun rabbit hole of information. So kind of this is my process. At first, I retrieve the data, I work a lot with e-commerce brands. With them, they're going to have tons of review data that we can kind of leverage and dive into and use different tools to sift through that data. If you don't have that, you can just talk to your customers. It's really that simple. Why did you buy from me? What was the pain point that our product or service solved? What was life before you had our product or service? What was life after? What did that look like? Really dive into that. And from that too, gather demographics, customer pain points, and benefits. And then from there, you'll analyze that data. A weird example, we worked with a company, they sold headrests for Herman Miller chairs, of all things, a very niche, interesting product. I dove in the data and found out most of the people buying were just men that were too tall for their chair, and they would lean back, and their neck would hurt all day. So you can find really interesting things like that, and that can give you ideas for ads and images. Like now we can show a guy just hurting, and showing that pain at his desk from sitting all day, not having that neck support, and you can dive in and showing that and amplifying that. So then from there, you'll test copy and creative. And it kind of goes, and it's a fun or vicious cycle, depending on how you look at it. But you'll just kind of keep doing it. Did it work? Did it not work? If not, let's go back to the data, bring out another hypothesis, and go from there. The best question, and one of my favorite questions with all of this, is how can we amplify this? So when you find that pain point, when you find that benefit, you really want to think about how can we really ramp up the emotion more and more and more. Like Chad said, he could bring me out here. He could mention that he was going to bring out a cop, but if he actually brought out a cop, or if that cop then tackled me, that's going to, you guys might be slightly traumatized from that. What is going on here? Who is this man? That's what we can do to kind of amplify messages and put way more emotion into what we're trying to show. So when you grab these main problems that your product or service is solving, you really want to think about how can we agitate that? How can we show that more and more and more? I mean, I'm sure this happens to everyone. Your mom comes in, she's trying to pour some Dr. Pepper or whatever and spills it all over your card game. You've probably seen this, old infomercials. They're really good at sort of really amplifying that emotion. This is an example, a video example, but you can kind of see what you can do there. The other thing you can do is get the main benefits and look for what's the benefit of that benefit. I talked with Rachel and Emma a little bit last night, and I know they work for an HVAC company. I think that's AC. I don't know all the acronyms on that. That's okay. I went back again. But with them, if you don't have AC, if your AC is broken, what can we do to amplify that message? Can you show someone that looks like they're just passing out on their couch, they're really sweaty maybe, and then you can think about kind of the benefit of that benefit too, of getting that fixed. You're now cool, you're relaxed in your home, you're thriving, you're hydrated, whatever it might be. You're sleeping well at night, like this little guy. That's not Charles, he didn't grow that big yet, maybe with food, but anyway, so let's go into the do's and don'ts now of creative. This is kind of the bread and butter where we really dive into just giving clients feedback, and I really wanted to share the foundations and the fundamentals of a lot of this effort that we put into it. So logos, people love throwing logos on things. People might hate me for this. I'm not the biggest logo guy. I do like logos more for remarketing. I like logos for driving brand and showing people your brand. If your ad is this, though, and your logo is taking up the entire left side of the image, it's probably too big. And the problem and the reason that I don't like logos on things like this is we really want our posts and our ads to look organic and authentic. If they're not, if people see this, they're really not on ad platforms on Facebook, on Instagram to look at ads, right? Like they see something like this, they're going to instantly scroll away. So for that reason, I don't like logos as much. I do like them if you kind of shrink them down. The bottom two in the bottom right corner, they're not as distracting. But think about your logo and the size, and think about if you want to use it or not. I would even test using it and not using it and see what you can do there. Stock images, I think some people already mentioned this quite a bit this whole week. Stock images usually aren't great. Again, they look very salesy. They look very much like an ad. This one on the right, it's sort of like a stock image background of a city. Not great. I'd probably stay away from stock images. It's pretty easy just to take your own image. If you're doing, soft washing, take a before and after photo. If you're serving people food, just take a really good photo of that food, whatever it might be. And this is a big no-no. These are all real Facebook ads that I pulled more recently too. This just looks like a magazine, like print ad, an old school ad. This is just don't. I hope your stuff doesn't look like this. If it does, just message me. I'll help you out. Like, please. There's just a lot going on here. It could work in some instances, but for ads, like most people aren't going to click on that. They're just going to keep scrolling. So another thing I really look at is clarity. How do we make things simple, easy to understand, and easy to comprehend? Does anyone know or can guess what this ad is promoting? A marina, I heard. A boat. It's promoting a resort of all things. I think there's one like in the distant corner on the right there, but like you can see this. I always tell clients and people I work with, like, think about if there's no copy at all, what is your image showing? What are people kind of taking away from that? This is one, like I could be promoting like Tahoe. I don't know if Tahoe has a river. I'm a dumb American. Okay, moving on. But you don't want people looking at stuff and just being like, what is this an ad for? What is this actually promoting here? This is a better version of a resort ad that I've seen. You can see here, a cool thing that they've done is there's no people in the pool. Like some resorts, they might be full of people, but most people are going to resort to relax, to kind of have a nice serene, environment. So you can see this one on the right has all the trees that they're showing, and the one on the left, just a really nice open pool. I want to jump into those waters. They look great. Now let's get into text hierarchy. This may or may not ruin the rest of your life if you really dive into it. Text hierarchy, we'll get into font choices. This is like, I see a sign and I'm just like, what are they thinking here? You can see in this example here, what most people do is they're gonna read that top line, read this, it's very big. I even bolded it, made it pop a little bit more. Then they're gonna go down to then this, and then that bottom asterisk is usually like, this is gonna kill you, we didn't cook it very well, or whatever the FDA warnings are that people always do. We never read it, right? But this is something you always want to keep in mind when you're making creative too. Like, where do you want people's eyes to go to first, second, and third? This is a great example I found in the airport. The exception here, that logo's kind of at the top with Zoho One. If people know what Zoho One is, that's cool, that's great. You're kind of adding that brand identity there. I would probably like to see this headline bigger and probably at the top, and I'd probably make the logo smaller. But still, it's a good example. You can kind of see, you start at the top, you work your way down, and then you see that bottom line. So really think about text hierarchy and how you can have text be bigger, smaller, and even smallest for attention. Where do you want people to look first, second, and third? Font choice is another big one. I'm sorry, brands. We can talk about it if you need help. There's a lot of issues that people have with fonts, and we'll dive into those. This is a sign I found at the airport. Level up your mood. Great like hierarchy here. You're looking at level up your mood. That's great. This is so hard for me to read. Some people could read, maybe I'm just bad at cursive, I don't know. But it's hard to, I think it says with sweet pastries, but you can see like it takes a little bit more brain power. So if your ad, if that headline is that cursive, most people are probably not gonna read it, or they might misread it. So you really wanna make your text just really clear and stand out on whatever you're printing it on. A great example is newspapers, books. You can see they have these serifs, those little curly cues on the end of each letter. Really easy to read these things. That's why books, pretty much every book you see has serifs like this. Very clear, very easy to read. It's also a white background with black text. With readability scores, that's always going to be the highest, just so you know. So if you're doing black background and white text, people aren't going to be able to read it quite as well as white and black like that. Contrast is another no-no that I always find people do, and we can talk about. Again, you can see on my slides here, white background, black text. There's a reason I did that, and I made it huge so people could read it everywhere in their seats. This is a lot harder to read. You can see the background color is a bit dark, and that black is also dark. So think about this. Try to add a little bit more contrast to your images to make them pop. I'm not sure how that red looks out of the projector. It might be just a bad color in general, but you can kind of see, you can make it pop a little bit more just adding a brighter color. So if you have a dark background, make sure the text is light. If you have a light background, make sure the text is dark. Something like that, yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Patterns is another one. You can see contrast. It looks like an optical illusion almost. There is text there. It says contrast. But it's very hard to see. Be careful with, like, if you're using photos and you're adding text over those, you see, like, forests and oceans and things like that. Sometimes they're very hard to see text over them, so be cautious of that. What I would recommend, the easiest way to fix this is literally throw a shape behind it. That's a nice color. And contrasting. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Quick win, add image concepts that everyone can kind of steal and take away from this today. All right, bold statement ads. These are some of my favorite ads. Basically, you're showing an image that grabs attention, and you have a bold statement, I call it, a nice, easy-to-read headline. You say, yes, we made jorts. I know Jim Fuse had some nice jorts on last night. They're still in, right? I don't know. Jim looked good in them. That's weird to say. Anyway, you can see they put their logo there, but it's tastefully a bit smaller, so your eyes pretty much go to, yep, we made jorts first, and then you might see the logo there. This is another good-ish example, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. The headline there, improve your curb appeal with soft washing. It pops pretty well. Your eyes go there. The only thing to think about here, and the thing I don't like as much, is the logo here in the top left corner. Most people are going to read top to bottom, left to right, just how we normally read here. So when your logo's there, they're going to see that right away, and they might then keep scrolling. They might see immediately it's an ad. Memes are a great example. They'll have that text at the top. You read it right away, and then you'll go and you look at that creative next, and then you might look at that logo. For them, I'd probably make the logo a bit smaller. I'd probably move it to the bottom right, and I would probably move that bold statement up to the top, so you're reading that right away, sort of like a meme. Before and afters can be really good. You can see this is for, I think, soft washing and maybe pressure washing. The left, very visual, before and after. Very clear. Again, the logo's a bit distracting in the middle of that one, but it's not terrible. And another thing to note, again, people are reading left to right. For befores and afters and us for thems, you always want kind of that first thing you want people to take in, that before on the left, and then the after on the right. If it's switched, it might just throw people off. So really just let's simplify this. This makes this really easy for people to comprehend and for people to kind of get the message. Split screens, these are always great. Take a few different photos. You can see this is like a renovation company in both images here. You might want to show off your team's professional. I don't know, like they kind of look like they're just like, we're a happy team. Like, it's good. I don't know if that's like the strongest imagery that you could use for a brand like this. I think the one that's more on the right might be a bit better. You're showing those afters that people really grab attention with. They see, they get it. But if you're showing that, your owner that might be more well-known, you can see he's in the bottom left corner there. So if it's someone that is more well-known, might have a personal brand, you can push that out there as well. But most people, they're going to really like dream and look at those after pictures. So showing those and really diving into those visually can be really good. All right, so let's bring it all back and show some action items here. Step one, research. If you haven't talked to your customers, I hope everyone has, but if you haven't talked to your customers or even your top customers, really dive into like, what is their life like, again, before they use your product or service, and what is it like after? And then what I like to do, I usually do this with reviews, but you can do it talking to people. Write this down, and then write down the number of times people tell you that they like a certain thing. So then I can kind of look at, is that distribution even, or is it really leaning towards like one reason they're really working with us, or is it not? A great example, I used to work in Bellevue, Washington. I get my hair cut at a place. The haircuts were awful. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if people are like, yeah, his haircut's awful. But they weren't the best haircuts, but I went there because they were fast. I could get in, I can get out really quickly and get my life and moving on. They might not have talked to people, and they might not have known that. I think on the outside, they just said that they were, $15 haircuts. So they might push that angle. Some businesses we often see are pushing one angle, but they're not really getting to the root of why people are buying from them. So really dive into that and figure out why people are buying from you and lean into that. So do the research. I tell people do 3 image variations of one of these concepts of like the split screen of the bold statement ads. Try 3 different variations of one of those concepts and test it out. Push it out there. Run it as an ad or organic, and see how people respond to them and see which one does the best. And then you want to analyze and iterate. Did it work? Did it not work? If it didn't work, is it something wrong with the creative? Can we amplify this more? Can we grab attention more? Is the copy maybe need some tweaking? What can we do to kind of analyze that and iterate it more? If it's a split screen like the one that we showed, maybe you should show before and afters. If the split screen didn't work, maybe you should try different angles of each of those images in there. Maybe we should try adding more employees or taking out employees from those images. Let's dive into tools real quick. The Facebook ad library is a great one. It's a free tool. You can just go in, you can type in. Now it's really cool. They've come a long way with it. You can actually type in just generic search keywords like soft washing to see what everyone's doing for soft washing. Or you can do very specific people and just name a certain company and see what they're running for ads, and you can dive into those. One of the things I really like to do is I'll take screenshots of all these different concepts, and I'll just put them into a slide, and I'll just put like this person, for example, if it's a product, they're showing the product outside. They're modeling the product with a selfie. And I'll have different slides of all these examples, and then we can look at different patterns we might see across the industry that people are doing and just get more ideas creatively of what we can do. Canva is a great tool. It's easy. It's free. They do have a paid version, but it's fairly cheap too. Great image editing and graphics. They make it really easy to do a lot of this stuff. Photoshop's a bit more advanced, but also an amazing tool to edit images in. And then I linked an article here. We'll give you all these slides too. I have a QR code at the end. There's a link here that actually Facebook has an article on just their best practices for image ads. Some of those things are very similar to what I've gone over here, but you can read exactly from the words from their mouth, which is great too. So wrapping up here, this was Charles Barkley after, man, he really is, he makes you shed a tear sometimes looking at him. Like, he's like this every time too. I'm like eating, like drinking Starbucks. He's like, "Where's my pup cup? Like, you forgot my pup cup." He gives me the same look. This is him now. He's happy. He's upgraded his living situation to a wagon, and he has a nice little backpack on there too. But again, here you can see the contrast. You can see the before he got the wagon, let's say, and you can see the after when he's riding around town, all hot stuff, not burning his feet on the concrete there. Again, lean into amplifying emotion and what you can do with that, and then you can go from a sad furry friend to a certified good boy or gal. So that's it, guys. You can go ahead, scan the QR code there. You'll get all the slides. I'm Tony. Oh, I ruined it. Someone will show it again. Maybe not. I'll share it with you. Anyway, I'm Tony Does Ads. There we go. I'm good. I am good with this thing. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Tony Christensen, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Does Ads. It's a running joke with all of us. Anytime Tony's doing something, we're like, Tony does dancing.
Thanks. Yes, and if you need any help, feel free to DM me. I'm on Twitter all the time. If you literally have any questions, even if you want ad feedback, I will roast your ad. I will not hold back judgment. Well, I'll be kind of nice too, but I'll be like, this is trash. Like, do this, do this. So reach out, hit me in the DMs. Thanks.
Kill him with kindness.
Yeah.